Yeah.
You open it.
Hold on. Come here. Hello. Hi, this is Kalia here, real estate investor coach in Washington, D.C. And today I want to talk about the not so glamorous part of real estate investing. So I got a couple things here that I want to go over with you about 5 different things about the non-glamorous part of real estate investing. Okay, so the first one I would say is unreliable contractors. So that is definitely a non-glamorous part because some contractors, even if you've dealt with them before, they may tell you that they can do the job, they can do this, and a lot of times they even overpromise. So they may tell you, okay, I can do this and this and this, and you may have a deadline to meet, and then come to find out that they don't actually meet the deadline. So a lot of contractors, I'm sorry, I'm here leaving my daughter's school, and a lot of the kids are talking. So a lot of contractors will overpromise, even though you have a deadline to meet. So it could be like a handyman, anybody. They'll tell you that they can do something, and then you choose them because they're telling you that they can do it. But then later on you find out, oh, I'm tired or I'm hot, and they start complaining, and then they want to argue with you about getting paid, even though you may have even signed a contract with them. A lot of contractors do overpromise and don't deliver. Especially like, let's say, for instance, if you're holding and you're flipping. Of course, if you're wholesaling, you don't have to deal with people overpromising because you're not having any work done. But when you're holding a property as far as flipping, or you're dealing with your landlord, and let's say you have tenants moving in, you need the property to look a certain way as far as like repairs. And so you need to make sure that those things are done. The second thing is just being caught up in, number 2, will be getting caught up in economic changes. So like, let's say in 2008, when the market crashed, a lot of people were still buying properties thinking that the market was okay, and it wasn't okay. So a lot of people got left holding the bag with purchasing properties, and the values just weren't there anymore. So let's say they got it, they thought they were going to flip it, and they ended up holding the property. A lot of people even got land, let's say, to build apartments on. Or it could be economic changes, and it could be changes in the laws or zoning and things like that. So like, let's say now there's more requirements to be able to do like a 2-unit apartment building versus before it was easy. Like, let's say, for instance, even building a unit on top. Let's say you're in the city, you have like a duplex and you want to build another level on top. And so these are the requirements. And then the requirements actually change in the process of you actually acquiring the property. Number 3 would be the presentation. So a lot of times when you're actually like listing properties, let's say you want to list, you acquired a property and you're going to rent it out to tenants, or you have a property and you're getting ready to sell that property. Let's say you've renovated it and you have to do the cleanup and you're ready to put that property on the market. Sometimes this can take up a lot of time as well. This would be the not so glamorous part. If you get stuck with trying to make the property look right, you get stuck with the presentation of the property. I know there's plenty of times when I've been stuck, like even doing vacation rentals, and maybe your cleaning person can't come one day and you're stuck, you're cleaning up the property. But that's happened to me quite a few times where I'm stuck doing the cleanup on stuff. So let's say somebody cancels last minute, I got to bring somebody else in, or maybe that person doesn't even do a good job and I got to make sure that the property is ready. And I'm stuck at the last minute mopping floors, or I've done vacation rentals where I ended up having to wash people's clothes, all types of stuff. Number 4 would be having to work long hours. So I would say that that's also the not so glamorous part, because a lot of times when you have properties and you have to get your properties ready to go on the market, you can be stuck with running back and forth to Home Depot. Also, let's say you're still prospecting, especially if you're flipping properties and you're always looking for new deals. You could be spending a lot of time with that as far as prospecting for deals, because even if you have real estate agents who will bring you deals, you may need a couple of them. So you may spend a lot of time looking for realtors to bring you deals. You may be looking for wholesalers to bring you deals. And then you're also running around dealing with your contractors, trying to oversee the project. So flipping is definitely a big project, because a lot of times with that, you have to be overseeing your contractors, because if you leave them idle on their own, a lot of times it's a big headache. Like, you tell somebody, paint the door white, you come back, the door is red. So there's a lot of little things that go wrong with trying to oversee contractors. So flipping is a big deal, because again, you got to oversee the projects. You got to make sure your properties are ready to go on the market. Then you've got to run around the Home Depot and getting supplies, making sure that people have everything that they need. You may be overseeing your listing agent that you have listing the properties for you. So definitely, if you're flipping properties, there's a lot of little things that goes into that. If you're wholesaling and you're starting off on that level, you're probably spending a lot of time prospecting for deals. So let's say, for instance, you're calling people. So let's say you're doing your own prospecting, you're cold calling. That could be taking time. Then you're going around to appointments, you're evaluating deals, you're doing marketing. And it doesn't mean that when you first meet with people, they're going to tell you yes. So a lot of people get easily a fear of rejection, because they're thinking that everybody that they call is supposed to tell them yes, but not realizing, okay, well, every 100 people I call, maybe only one of those may end up in a deal. So you have to be able to handle rejection well, which is another part of being in real estate, especially like if you're on the wholesaling level. You may be doing a lot of legwork and maybe you still don't have a deal that's closed yet. So definitely it can result in long hours. And so one thing I would suggest as far as the long hours is, what I normally do is I break up the responsibility. So I don't just work where it's just me doing everything. Normally I have where I'm doing certain things, somebody else is doing certain things, even if I have to bring in an intern to do like certain responsibilities with me. But I normally break it up. Same thing like just for any other business. Any business you go into, a lot of times there are long hours that are required when you first get started. Hold on one second, please. I'm sorry. A bug had gotten in my car. Okay, so then the fifth one is, again, if you're wholesaling, one of the not so glamorous parts will be always prospecting. Most people, they don't like to prospect for deals. So of course, if you're working with a real estate agent and they're the ones bringing you deals, that makes things a little bit easier because they're the ones that's doing the prospecting. But I would say the biggest one is dealing with just fear of rejection. So a lot of people don't like getting rejected. And so again, you may want to consider partnering with people instead of thinking that you have to go into it alone and do all of this yourself. If you know that, okay, well, I'm good at maybe doing researching and analyzing, then maybe you can just stick to that and bring somebody else in who you feel like will be good with actually like talking to the sellers, meeting with the sellers, and signing the contract. So one of the biggest things is just being able to split up your responsibilities with other people. That'll cut down on your time. That'll cut down on, you know, the things that you already know that you're not good at. And then also just being able to oversee contractors. You can split that up as well. So those are like 5 different things that I would say are the not so glamorous part. The thing that I don't like the most is probably the cleaning part, getting stuck with that and trying to make sure the property is presentable. That's probably the biggest thing for me. But do you have any questions just offhand about the not so glamorous part of real estate investing? Anybody have any questions? If you do, please just go ahead and drop them in the comments, and we can talk more about it. Any questions about the ugly side of real estate investing? I know, you know, that you always see all these TV shows and they make it look so fabulous. But I can tell you that it's not so fabulous, because I see a lot of people, once they get started and they see that, let's say, for instance, especially if you don't have like a lot of help, there's a lot of dirty parts that go into it. Like most people don't want to clean somebody else's place. Let's say the tenants left the place is trashed. You know, let's say you don't even have in your budget. Let's just say you're a single, you know, you're just a landlord by yourself. The tenants already weren't paying. You got to evict somebody and you don't have money to hire a cleaning person. So in that instance, you may be stuck trying to clean the place out on your own. So there's a lot of little things, you know, depending upon what level you're working on, where you can get stuck with a responsibility that you didn't want. So I would say this is the ugly side. Any questions? Hi Lee, how are you? Assalamu alaikum, Kita. Let me know if anybody has any questions and I'll go ahead and answer them about the bad and the ugly of real estate investing. I'm here picking my daughter up from school. So if nobody has any questions, then I'll just go ahead And you can, well, actually, if you have questions, you can go ahead and just add them below the video. And I can always just come back in and answer them later. Okay, I see. It's okay if you came in late. So if you have questions, you can just go ahead and drop them in. We were talking about the ugly part of real estate investing. So she says, what moves should you take to protect your investments? That's a good question. That would be a good question. You know, some people do, that would be a good question for a real estate attorney. Because for instance, for myself, I mean, you know, most people say an LLC, but an LLC doesn't always protect you. Again, I'm not an attorney, so I'm not giving legal advice. One of the better things I know, like my partner, she's a real estate attorney, and trusts work a lot better. Because sometimes, you know, if you have a corporation, the corporations are filed with the state, so everybody has access to that information. So a trust would probably be better. Again, I'm not an attorney, but a trust would probably be better than an LLC because a trust is private versus like a company is public. So still people, you know, especially like if you have a mortgage and things like that, more than likely they still require some type of personal guarantee, even if it's still an LLC. So it doesn't mean that you can't get pursued later if something goes bad. Like let's say you do a flip and something goes wrong and you still owe the money. More than likely whoever you owe the money to is still going to pursue you for your company, and they're going to pursue you personally. Okay, so Ricky wants to know how much to save up before flipping a house. It really just depends on whether you're going in with other people. I mean, there's some people where all you need is like $5,000 and they'll mentor you on a flip. So it depends. I mean, it depends on the property. It depends on if you're using cash, if you're using hard money. There's really no set amount for flipping. I mean, if you're dealing with, pretty much like, let's say you're starting off with a mentor. I know some people out here, they only charge like $5,000, but they'll put you in with a group of other people. Tons of experience. I don't know. Artis, did you have a question? You said tons of experience to be REI. Okay, somebody wants to know if buying at the sheriff's sale is a good start. It really just depends. So again, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. So as far as for the sheriff sales, I don't typically buy at sheriff sales because I like to deal with the home beforehand. I like to see the property, the inside. If you buy at the sheriff sale, you can't see the inside of the property. So that's the problem with the sheriff sales, is that you're going to buy something, and I mean, you're going to assume what the inside looks like. So of course you got to buy it at a certain amount for it to be a good deal. But if you buy it before the sheriff's sale, like let's say you're dealing directly with the homeowner, at least you get to see the inside of the property. So that's the difference between, and also the sheriff's sale, just because you're getting it there doesn't mean it's a good deal. Because sometimes there's a lot of people there who are bidding against you and they bid the prices up. Okay, she says, do you need a ton of experience? Well, a ton of experience to do what? To flip, or you're talking about just wholesaling? I mean, you don't need a ton of experience because everybody has to start somewhere. So, I mean, a ton of experience is not really required. It's just more so just working towards whatever your goals are. So if your goal is to get in and you know you only have enough money to start off wholesaling, then it's better to start off as a wholesaler. If you know you have the credit score and you know you have some money, then maybe you can start off with a rental. Or somebody else who knows that they have cash to work with and they know that they can get into flipping it, or they don't mind working with a mentor, then they can go the flipping route. So there's really like no one place to start. Okay, she says wholesaling. No, you don't need a lot of experience to wholesale, but it is easier if you start with a mentor. So I don't normally, like I told you in my story. Okay. Like I was telling you in my story, I didn't start off wholesaling trying to figure out everything on my own. I mean, some people get success that way. I didn't have success like starting off on my own. I found more success working with people who already had experience. So that's what worked for me. I didn't try to go, like a lot of people, they waste a lot of time. I mean, everybody has their different way to go about it, but just from what I've seen is that some people waste a lot of time trying to figure out everything on their own when they don't really know what they're looking at. So like if you haven't been in the business and you don't know about real estate, if you're just trying to go with this, like some people may start, okay, well, let me go with pre-foreclosures, or let me go with, now I'm doing probates, or let me go, now I want to do the short sale or the lease options. And then now I want to go with this, you know, so like a lot of people just hop around and they waste a lot of time that way. So I would say, it's better to just know, okay, if I'm going to wholesale, this is what's available in my marketplace. So like, let's say there's not a lot of foreclosures in your marketplace. Then you can't start with foreclosures if there's not a lot of foreclosures in your marketplace. That wouldn't be a good place to start. So you have to kind of know, have an idea. And that's why it's better to work with somebody who's experienced, because they would already know, hey, well, there's not many foreclosures here, so you can't start with foreclosures. So that's why it'd be helpful to start with a mentor. A mentor, I would say, like, you can start by networking. I mean, even if you work with somebody that's online, just somebody who can kind of have an idea about things and point you in the right direction. So you can meet a mentor online. I met my mentor actually like in a non-real estate related class. So also just by networking, meeting people, maybe going to like real estate events and just meeting people. Because there's always people that are there who are willing to like work with other people. So one question is, a real estate license, is it helpful? For me, it's very helpful. But again, you know, everybody's different. It was helpful for me because I started off actually wholesaling. Even now it's helpful because I'm prospecting for deals. But if I go meet with a seller and let's say I'm meeting with a seller and the seller doesn't want to sell to me at a discount, even though I may tell them, okay, your home is only worth $100,000 and they don't want to sell for $100,000. They don't want to sell it to me for $100,000. Then I'll just list it on the market as a realtor and I still make a commission. So the difference with not having a license is that you would just have to pass up that opportunity and go to the next one. So by wearing more hats, you actually keep more of your options open. If you have less hats, then your options are more closed. So if you go meet with the seller, you know, the seller doesn't want to sell to you, you say, oh, okay, and you just have to go on trying to look for the next deal. Another reason why a license is actually helpful is because you have access to the multiple listing service. So like you do have access to the multiple listing service where you have first-hand access to your comparables. So when you're actually trying to look at your deals, look at the numbers, that way you actually have access to the information, because sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult when you're trying to use Zillow and all these third-party sites to try to get like comparable information. Let's see. Trying to go down. I think my phone is stuck here. Let's see. Share sale need like experience whole time. But okay, but a license, no, it's not required. Like you said, it's not required, but it is helpful. Some people decide that they don't want to have a license because they feel like there's too much disclosure that's required to have a license. So I'm sorry, my daughter, she's ready to go now. But yeah, some people feel like it's too much disclosure to have a license. But if you disclose, then really there's nothing to worry about. So if you're an honest person, you're disclosing things, then to me, I mean, personally, I've never seen anybody get in trouble for having a license and also being an investor. I mean, a lot of investors say that they don't want that, but then sometimes there's a lot of liars in real estate. So I mean, that's also something to be aware of, is that because the investing side doesn't have a lot of requirements, there are a lot of people who are a lot of liars. So, you know, some people don't want to have a license because they don't want to have to disclose certain things to people, you know, and maybe they're saying other things that they know that they could get in trouble with. She said she heard of advertising for learning how to flip houses and such. Are they scams? No. I mean, you know, if you have somebody that's an honest person that's teaching people, then no, it's not a scam. I mean, of course, you probably want to make sure you know who you're working with. Like if you know somebody has like especially like if somebody has a real estate license and things like that, they would probably be more liable because the fact is they have like a little bit more knowledge. Or let's say somebody has like, you know that person's doing a lot of flips. So, I mean, definitely you want to check behind the people that you're working with to know that they're a legitimate person. But most people, to be honest, they're really not making a lot of money like training other people. Most of the time, that's not really where the money comes in. Most people are making their money through real estate. And then, you know, like training people is probably just something else that they do on the side. So most people are not going to go to jail for trying to scam somebody to try to teach them, especially like given how much money, like let's say somebody's new, maybe bringing to the table. Because if you don't have a lot of money and somebody's just helping you, then they would be having more to lose than what you would with just trying to get in to learn. Let's say you put in $5,000, you know, I mean, $5,000 for somebody who's flipping, that may not be anything, you know, that's not really a lot of money. I mean, of course, there are companies that charge like $30,000 But you know that these companies, you know, they work with people and they have a track record of the people that they work with. So, I mean, no, I wouldn't say that they're scams. You know, you just have to know who you're working with. So I do, like she said, do I have a program? My program is more geared towards people who are wholesaling. The reason why I start people off with the wholesaling is because then that you become more familiar with knowing how to like actually find deals and how to look at deals and things like that. I have worked with people in the past, like who wanted to start off flipping, but sometimes that can be and not a good way to start, because a lot of times what happens is when you start people off and they just want to flip, a lot of times they don't really have a clue on what they're doing. So a lot of times, like for myself, for instance, like when I'm training people, I like for people to be self-sufficient. So I like to train people so that you know what you're doing, so then you can also contribute to like what's going on. But a lot of times if you just start somebody off with flipping and they don't know what's going on, you could be in a situation where it's more so almost like you're becoming somebody's money manager, you know, where they can't really contribute anything because they don't really know what to do. So sometimes when you're mentoring somebody on flipping, to me, that's how it is, unless they're actually contributing by like looking for deals. So at some point still, I would say that if you're starting off flipping, you know, you have to be contributing in some kind of way as far as like looking for deals and things like that. Otherwise, you know, you could be in a situation where, like, let's say if you're just flipping, where you're just some people, what they do is they'll tell you they want to flip and maybe they have like $100,000 or something like that they're willing to put into a project. But in those situations, most people become like more of a lender or a financial type of person than what they do just somebody that's trying to learn how to do real estate. So for me personally, I know more so help people off with the wholesaling, and then I can, you know, assist people more with flipping, or I have other resources, other people who would help with the flipping. Like, you know, let's say if they're doing multiple projects and they can get in on the project. But most people would probably want you to have an idea of what, you know, a basic idea of what's going on. So one person is, how long does it take to get licensed? The best thing to do would be to check with your real estate licensing board, because again, that's going to depend upon who's providing the class that you're taking. So like, let's say, you know, each state has their own requirements. So you want to look with the licensing board and find out who actually provides the course. And then once you find out who provides it, you can find out how long the licensing course is. Because each state has their own, like there's a national and a state portion. So it really depends on the state you're in. So she said, how do we connect with mentors? Again, it would just be by networking with other people. That would be like the easiest way to find people to mentor you. If you're looking to flip, again, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to flip real estate or if you're looking to wholesale, it really just depends on what you want to do and how much money you have and how much you're willing to contribute to what you're working on or what you want to work on. But networking, I mean, I know it sounds like, you know, well, how do you meet these people? Again, I would just start by going to real estate events and just asking around, because most investors, they like showing people what they're working on, their projects. You can come look at it. They probably tour you around the houses, you know, what they want from you. So most people are pretty open about those type of things when they're an active real investor. Okay, so today I just wanted to spend some time primarily just talking about the not so glamorous part. I hope that I was able to answer your other questions. I'm getting ready to get out of here, so I can go home. Hi, Sagar. How are you? Okay, so if anybody has any other questions, feel free to drop it in the comments. And then also, if you're gaining value from these videos, I'd love to keep doing them for you. I'd appreciate like if you can invite others to the group or pass it along to other people who also want to learn about real estate investing. And then also too, if you have like a particular subject that you'd like me to elaborate on, because some of these are kind of brief depending upon the topic of the day, and then I can just take it as a topic for the day and I can elaborate on it even more. So if you have certain topics, like I do have some more planned for this week, because the live videos are Monday through Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, it's okay. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Artis. What's up? I can't reach this one. Oh, it's okay, Sagar. So definitely, if anybody else has any questions, go ahead and drop it below. But Artis, for you, just go ahead and reach out to your, if you want to take the real estate licensing class, definitely check out, I don't know what state you're in. I'm thinking Maryland, but I'm not sure. and just go ahead. I think for Maryland, for instance, offhand is like 60 hours. But again, how long? It depends on the person that's providing the course, because one thing is that some people may do an accelerated class, whereas for 2 weeks, somebody else may do a 2-month class. So it really depends on who's offering the class. So there's really no set time. Okay, well, bye everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Oh no, New Jersey. I'm not sure about New Jersey. Definitely check with your real estate licensing board for that one. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.